They crave battle and seek power through bloodshed, honoring their deity with every kill. Even their closest allies shudder to witness the gory rituals that renew and reinvigorate these graceful murderers. This is the Daughters of Khaine, a sadistic cult who worships the elven god of violence, war, and cruelty. Or so they think. They're led by the Shadow Queen Morathi, and all they want to do is bathe in the blood of their enemies. G'day and welcome to AOS Coach. In this video, I'm going to help you get started with the Daughters of Khaine by sharing some of their background, explaining how they play on the tabletop, give you some recommendations for your purchases, and those next steps. The story of the Daughters of Khaine is a complex story of manipulation and a quest for power that can be traced back to a time well before the Age of Myth. The leader of the Daughters of Khaine is Morathi, a powerful sorceress whose history ties back to the world that was. She was once married to Anarion, the first Phoenix King of Ulthuan, mothered Malarian, the Shadow King who now rules over Ulgu, and had once been eaten by the Chaos God Slaanesh during the End Times. Morathi would eventually free herself from the belly of Slaanesh, though not without being changed by that experience. Her body would be corrupted by Slaanesh with a monstrous serpentine form, though she attempts to conceal it with her more beautiful appearance with illusion. Countless years later, long after Morathi had freed herself from the belly of her nemesis, she aided the new pantheon of elven gods, Tyrion, Teclis, and Malarian, in ensnaring Slaanesh and slowly extracting the lost souls of those elves. In return for her indispensable aid, Morathi had also demanded a share of the reclaimed souls, for she drew forth the essence of the elves who once worshipped Khaine, installing herself as the High Oracle, his de facto replacement. During the events of the Broken Realms and at the climax of a plan long in the making, Morathi performed a great sorceress ritual to achieve the apotheosis she craved, and in doing so became the deity Morathi Khaine. Yep, Morathi's a bit of a badass. The Daughters of Khaine are organized in various subcults, each with their own unique fighting style and beliefs. Some of the most notorious subcults include the Khainite Shadowstalkers, who specialize in stealth and assassination, Hagnar, who are known for their religious obsession, the Kraith, who are focused on dueling and martial skill, and the Xantharkai, whose aesthetic is a bit more serpent. So what does the Daughters of Khaine army look like on the battlefield? Daughters of Khaine armies are known to be fast, pack a punch, but mostly fragile because they don't like being hit. Don't at me about Morathi, the Heart of Fury, or access to any easy rallying of troops. Daughters of Khaine have the powerful Morathi, who is one of the best heroes in Age of Sigmar. However, your opponent will put a target on her head early. She is a deadly combat threat that will strike fear into your opponent. She will boost up those snake ladies around her, she will let a unit fight in the hero phase, and is only able to take 3 wounds in each turn. Other than Morathi, you have a lot of minor support heroes, as well as heroes that ride those cauldrons of blood, who aren't that powerful, but they do pack a punch and punch well above their points. Daughters are built around melee and they're great at combat. You can get a lot of attacks through your Witch Elves, your Blood Sisters, and your Sisters of Slaughter. There are so many ways to make your units more powerful in combat, like the High Gladiatrix making it easier to deal damage, Morathi Khaine letting you fight in the hero phase, and there are plenty of boosts from your Allegiance abilities. Bloodstalkers are a powerful shooting unit who deal mortal wounds on an unmodified 6 to hit, but to get the most efficiency, you will need Morathi for her command ability that lets them shoot in the hero phase as well as in the shooting phase. The average army won't have a high volume of shooting damage, but your elite shots will chip away at units and snipe off some of those small support heroes. You'll also get extra range damage through things like your Canary, your Bloodrack Medusa, and even Morathi. The only native monster in the Daughters of Khaine is the Shadow Queen Morathi herself, which is a powerful unit but doesn't offer you many options outside of her. If you want to get some other monsters in your army, you can access them through your allies like the Stormcast Eternals or any of the other elven factions that you might ally in, but they will lack some of the synergy with the rest of your army. Elves are faster than your average troop with a base move of 6 inches, and your snake ladies will be at 8-inch move. Early in the game, you can access +1 to run and +1 to charge through your allegiance abilities, as well as your witch elves and your sisters of slaughter can run and charge. And indeed, you are the one who wants to be charging into your opponent. You have access to both wizards to cast spells and priests to chant prayers, along with some great choices like spells including Mind Razor, Steed of Shadows, and the Withering. You won't compete with the strongest wizards in the game like Nagash, Teclis, Lord of Change, and Lord Croak to name a few, but you will be some of the best in the middle of the pack. Your priest will offer you a more consistent boost through prayers like Sacrament of Blood or Catechism of Murder, especially if you have access to a Cauldron of Blood or an Avatar of Khaine for a boost to those chanting rolls. One of the most popular combinations is taking the Daughters of Khaine priest as well as a Heart of Fury invocation that creates a bubble of damage reduction. There is a lot of flexibility in your army size. You can run an elite force with snakes like your Blood Sisters and your Blood Stalkers. You can also run the other side with a very large style army with Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter. Morathi Khaine will take up a large amount of your points if you choose to take her, but if you don't take her, I guess you're going to have plenty of points to spend on other support heroes. There's a lot of X factors and things to like about the Daughters of Khaine. Not only do they have a great backstory that will inspire you to join Morathi's cult, they can play in every phase of the game with access to good wizards and priests, shooting, combat, models that can come in from reserve, and the speed to move around the board. You've also got plenty of tabletop shenanigans to keep your opponent guessing. Your Khainite Shadow Stalkers can teleport around the board, Khainei can come in from reserve, and you can even teleport some heroes around using Mirror Dance. There are plenty of ways to start a Daughters of Khaine army, with the easiest being the Vanguard Daughters of Khaine box. You could buy these kits individually, however, this Vanguard box will provide you with a good starting point and likely save you some money too. Inside the Vanguard box, you will approximately get 500 points worth of troops, 1 Melusai Iron Scale, 10 Witch Elves that can alternatively be built as Sisters of Slaughter, 5 Bloodstalkers that can also be built as Blood Sisters, and 5 Doomfire Warlocks. This will make more sense when you pick up the Daughters of Khaine Battle Tome, which you should pick up early on in your journey, as it is full of stories, rules like your war scrolls, your battle tactics, your battalions, your grand strategies, as well as some paint schemes and plenty of examples for you to draw from. If you're lucky enough, you might find a previous box set like the Start Collecting Daughters of Khaine box at your local game store. These will come with different models and they are no longer made, so if you do see them and you like it, grab it while you can. From here, expanding your army will really depend on if you like your Snake Ladies or your Witch Elf side of the Daughters of Khaine. There is no right or wrong here, and you can certainly do both. You may want to include expanding your troop options to include more Witch Elves or Blood Sisters. Khainei Heartrenders are a popular option for their mobility, so are the endless spells that come with the Daughters of Khaine, like the Heart of Fury that you see there on screen. Endless spells are a physical manifestation of the magic in the mortal realms, and Daughters of Khaine players love the Heart of Fury as it reduces incoming damage within range of the model. You may want to get yourself a centerpiece model or two, and the Cauldron of Blood is a diverse kit that lets you build 3 different options, while no collection is complete without the Shadow Queen Morathi Khaine. You may want to hold off grabbing her until you've painted a few Daughters of Khaine models and you've got the paint scheme down pat. There is no one set way of painting your girls. You may want to paint them up like the box art, maybe with some darker skin tones, or even with grey skin like the Drow Elves from Dungeons & Dragons. If you're following a paint scheme that is similar to the box art, you may find the following paints from Games Workshop Citadel range to be more useful to get you started. Corn Red, Reekland Flesh Shade, Lead Belcher, Bugman's Glow, Retributor Armor, Abaddon Black, Rackard Flesh, Screamer Pink, and Nuln Oil. Obviously, you can find similar colors in other paint ranges like Vallejo, or alternatively, you may want to use Citadel contrast paints. You do you. A bonus tip from my toolkit is I use Juan Hidalgo's heavy contrast video to achieve great results using the contrast paints, and I'll link it in the video description as well. You'll find plenty of painting tutorials on YouTube, as well as alternative schemes in your battle tome, which might guide the colors that you're going to need. If you want to fully immerse yourself in the Daughters of Khaine lore and the battle tome isn't enough, check out the Covens of Blood. This book dives into a trio of blood-soaked stories that showcase the deadly talents and vicious cruelty of Morathi's elven warriors. Each of the novellas focus on different characters, but they're all tied together in an overarching theme. It's both in book and audiobook form, and it's worth using an Audible credit. Each novella could be read as a standalone, or you could read the book in full. Your battle tome is full of great ways to build and customize your army. Create an army full of blood sisters and bloodstalker snake ladies. Build an army full of murderous witch elves, or find some combination of your choosing. You might be drawn to your favorite models, or you might read the rules that spark an idea. So here are some of my favorite rules in the Daughters of Khaine. Locus of the Murder God comes from the Heart of Fury from the Daughters of Khaine Endless Spell Box. It does need to be summoned to the table by a priest like your Hag Queen. And while it's on the table, you can reduce the damage inflicted to your units by 1 while they're wholly within 12 inches of the Heart of Fury. And there is a bonus trigger to do extra damage on a dice roll of 6 at the start of the combat phase. There are 3 different ways to build your cauldron, but the Hag Queen on cauldron is my favorite option. The Altar of Khaine is going to give you a +1 to your priest chanting roll while they're wholly within 9 inches of it, which is going to help you also get out the Heart of Fury that we've previously spoken about. Its Blood Shield ability will give all your Daughters of Khaine units a +1 to their save rolls while they're wholly within range, starting at 18 inches, but it does shrink as it takes damage. There is a priest on top of this cauldron too, which means that it can select one of those priests from the Daughters of Khaine lore. Catechism of Murder is a personal favorite of mine. If successfully chanted, you can generate more attacks for each hit roll of a 6, which pairs nicely with the double-bladed witch elves who have 3 attacks each. You also have Daughters of Khaine specific spells like Mind Razor, which is a popular choice. It is hard to cast with a casting value of 8, but if you are successful, you can improve the Rend characteristic for one of your units by 1. This is going to help you do a lot more damage and smash through your opponent's armor save. Paragon of Slaughter is an ability on the High Gladiatrix War Scroll that will make the Witch Elves and the Sisters of Slaughter easier to wound and make them an extra point of rend while they're wholly within 12 inches of them. Paragon of Slaughter and Mind Razor could be combined up with Catechism of Murder if you wanted to absolutely terrorize your opponent, or you might want to spread out the love across multiple units. One of the Daughters of Khaine special allegiance abilities is the Blood Rights table that is given to your entire Daughters of Khaine army for a faction boost. Now you can get +1 to your run rolls, +1 to your charge rolls, +1 to your hit rolls, and +1 to your wound rolls, depending on which battle round it is, as well as a ward save of 5+. Now there are ways to access some of these abilities earlier than the battle round that you can dig into and find out when you get your battle tome. If you pick up the Daughters of Khaine Vanguard box, there is around 500 to 600 points at the time of recording, depending on how you build certain units. You will have a single hero and a heap of troops, and with the points spare, you can always add more troops and heroes. In the 1000 point example, I have built more of a snake focused list by adding 10 more snakes in the Blood Sisters, along with the 5 that I decided to build as Blood Stalkers from the Vanguard box. I've also picked up the Bloodrack Viper Endless spell that my Doomfire Warlocks can summon to the board. In the 2000 point example, I have focused more on the Witch Elf style of the army that includes plenty of Witch Elves, some shooting support from the Blood Stalkers, some support heroes like the High Gladiatrix, a Cauldron of Blood, and some Canary Heart Renders to help score some objectives and battle tactics. These lists are by no means optimized, but really leveraging the starting point of the Vanguard box. For example, the Melusai Iron Scale wouldn't be the best use of your points in the type of Witch Elf focused build, but it is using the models for your Vanguard box. As you build up your army over time, you might swap that out for a Hag Queen. I have left some spare points for you to make your Witch Elves into Sisters of Slaughter, bring in other endless spells, or you could drop some units and bring in Marathi. I hope this video helps you get started into the Daughters of Khaine and gives you a feel of what it's like to collect and play with them. If you want to know more, there is a Daughters of Khaine playlist on this channel where I speak with experienced players about their tactics, favorite ways to customize, and examples of their successful tournament lists. The AOS Coach Discord server has a dedicated Daughters of Khaine room for list chats, tactics, and advice. The link to the server is in the episode description. Thanks for joining me in this Getting Started video. If you found this useful, or if you have a recommendation for the next Getting Started video, please let me know in the comments section. I'd be curious to hear from you. Thanks for hanging around until the end. I hope you enjoyed that video and you walked away with a few new ideas. Now, if you did, I would love it if you pressed like on the video, as well as left me a comment with your thoughts. The conversation will continue over on Discord, and the link is down below in the episode description. I also want to give a massive shout out to the AOS Coach patrons and YouTube members who are supporting the channel and the growth that you're seeing here. So cheers, you are all bloody legends. And until next time, don't roll a double one on a spellcast.